Hey, how's it going, guys? So today we're here for another Republic history video. I almost said Halo lore. A Republic history video, and this one is called not how, the brutal story of how the Jedi Order actually joined the Republic. So when I started watching like the Star Wars movies, episodes 1 all the way through 3. Well, I mean, like, cause the Jedi Order didn't exist in episodes 4 through 6, but there were like many questions, and even I had that question, like, how did the Jedi Order become part of the Republic? Like, was it a contract? Was it just like they had like common interests or common point of view? So I guess this video will answer it. I mean, because basically, like, how the Jedi joined the Republic started all the way back in the old Republic time, and now we're gonna get the answers of how they actually did join. But the fact that it's called the brutal story, I'm guessing it's not like it's not pretty, because the last episode where we watched the very first one on how the Republic was forged, it started with like so many wars, conflicts, and like independent systems. So I'm not gonna be surprised if it was like the Jedi fighting like so many Republic troopers, and then they just came to a stalemate and said, hey, let's fight together, or something like that. So without anything else, let's get into it.
For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic, as Luke Skywalker was told by Obi-Wan Kenobi not long before the Battle of Yavin. At various points in their shared history, in fact, the Jedi and the Republic might as well have been synonymous, considering how closely they worked with each other. But how did this arrangement begin? How did the Jedi Order come to serve the Republic? In this video, the second installment in our series on Republic history, we'll be exploring just that.
Alright, I'm looking forward to what he has to say.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
When we left off at the end of our previous video, which discussed the settling of the core in the Unification Wars, the year was 25,053 BBY, and the Galactic Republic had just been founded. Over the course of the next few decades, it began to solidify and explore more of the galaxy. Historians consider this the start of the Expansionist Age, a roughly 5,000 year period of history that marked the earliest period of the Republic's development. During this first leg of that period, the core worlds were explored a bit more, with routes in the Arrowhead region being made more reliable and stray systems in the region being added to the charts here and there. Meanwhile, the Republic also began to expand into the colonies, the region just outside of the core worlds. Over the course of the Republic's next first centuries, a wide swath of the region was opened up, with Nemoidia, Katada, Comenor, Khalida, Byblos, Karida, Uviu Exen, and Arcania all joining the Republic during this time. The first years of the Republic also saw the blazing of the first of the Republic's most crucial hyperspace routes. In the southwest, Corellians and Duros blazed the start of a route that, thousands of years later, would become the Corellian trade spine. In the southeast, the Corellians extended the spin, the route between Corellia and Coruscant, into the start of the Corellian Run, which by 24,500 BBY had reached
I do see a separate route between Corellia and Coruscant.
That would become rich and powerful in later years. But the work of the Corellians couldn't compare to the sheer luck
Mandalore,
of the
dead center.
Palemia was a small shipyard world located on the Axis, a route
And
that
there's
stretched
Yavin.
from Coruscant to Raltir, connecting some of the most powerful core worlds. The Palemians worked to extend the route, pushing it northeast into the unknown, and they struck gold. Between the founding of the Republic and 25,000 BBY, in just 53 short years, these mad lads pushed what would become the Palemian trade route all the way into the Outer Rim. Along the way, they discovered a number of soon-to-be important systems, including Yabul Oppa, Castel, Tiran, Tanab, Lantiles, Roche, Abheen, Liana, and eventually Colomux.
Hey, there's Ilum on the top left.
Explored a bit of the space near Colomux, and in 25,000 BBY, they discovered Ossus, where they made their first official contact with the Jedi Order. The Jedi Knights, the followers of the light and defenders of the balance of the Force, were one of the most ancient organizations in the galaxy. The foundations of the Jedi Order were laid in 36,453 BBY, when the Thoyor, a mysterious collective of ships that resembled Mortis gathered Force sensitives from all over the galaxy and brought them to Tython, a world deep in the core. Tython was exceptionally strong in the Force, and those beings who were brought there by SWTOR dedicated their lives to its study, naming themselves the Jedi. For over 10,000 years, the Jedi of Tython studied the Force, but the peace of that idyllic world was shattered a few centuries before the formation of the Republic. Originally, the Jedi had studied both the light and the dark, which they referred to as the Ashlar and the Bogan. But over time, members of the Order began to drift toward one side or the other. Most of the Jedi gravitated toward the Ashlar, the light side, as they came to recognize that balance in the Force was only achievable through its supremacy, but others, influenced by the Rakata, gravitated instead toward the Bogan, believing it would grant them greater power. The two sides clashed in the Force Wars of Tython, which lasted for about a decade. The followers of
swords.
Ashlar eventually defeated the followers of Bogan, and in the aftermath of the conflict, they formed the Jedi Order, dedicated to ensuring the supremacy of the light and thus the balance of the Force. But despite the Jedi victory, the Force Wars took their toll on Tython. Since the planet and its ecosystem was so heavily attuned to the Force Wars wreaked havoc across its surface, and the Jedi were forced to abandon it, as it was barely even inhabitable at that point. Using Rakatan Force-attuned hyperdrives, they traveled across the galaxy and settled on Ossus. Ossus was a unique world that reminded the Jedi of Tython in its prime, a world of natural beauty and astrological uniqueness. Located in the Adiga system, Ossus had two suns, Adiga Prime and Adiga Besh, and unusually, it orbited them in a figure-8 pattern. When the Republic discovered Ossus in 25,000 BBY, they made their first official contact with the Jedi Order. The Jedi Knights had been known to the Republic beforehand, as a few had fought in the Unification Wars, but they were mostly treated as beings of legend, and it wasn't until contact was made with Ossus that the legends were confirmed. While their basic precepts were the same, the Jedi Order of 25,000 BBY was quite different from the Jedi Order of the movie era. The Jedi were always in favor of the light side. Their High Council was in place from the beginning, and their ranks and many of their traditions were present in the earliest incarnations of the Order. But in general, the Jedi Order of those times were far less rigid than it would eventually become. The ancient Jedi were allowed to have families, for example, and their temple on Ossus was less of a headquarters and more of a gathering site. Furthermore, they had not yet invented their iconic lightsabers. Instead, they used specially forged swords imbued with the Force, which made them sharper, more durable, and more in tune with the user. Some Jedi welcomed ties with the Republic and immediately began traveling to Republic worlds, seeking to maintain peace and justice. Others were more skeptical, however, so the Order debated whether or not to officially join the Republic for weeks. But ultimately, after a revered Jedi Master Huan Tia toured the Republic and was satisfied with what he saw, the Order did in fact choose to officially ally itself with the Republic. From that point forwards, the Jedi Knights served as the guardians of peace and justice across the Republic, a role they would continue to fulfill in various ways for the next 25,000 years.
Dude, that's a cool looking armor.
Many Jedi settled
I wish they had that
across the Republic as permanent protectors and sages, becoming Jedi Watchmen, while others largely remained on Ossus, which became a fortress world of the Republic, serving to protect it from the threats of the Outer Rim. But ironically, the first real threat to the Republic that the Jedi fought off came from within the Jedi Order itself. By 24,500 BBY, the Jedi Order had comfortably settled into its place in the Republic, and its various doctrines became more rigid. The Jedi Council in particular was becoming more dogmatic, especially when it came to studying other Force traditions.
It looks like
a number of Jedi resented this, including one promising student named Zendor. Hoping to solve the problem, Zendor and his close friend Arden Lin asked the Council for permission to start a satellite academy far from Ossus, where they would study a variety of other Force traditions alongside the Jedi ways. The Council shot this idea down, but Zendor and Lin left to start their satellite academy anyway, taking a large number of followers with them. They settled on Leto, a world on the borders of the Deep Core that was pretty much on the opposite end of the Republic. On Leto, Xendor founded an academy where he was quickly joined by thousands of Jedi renunciates and other Force sensitives. They operated similarly to the Jedi, but with a much less rigid hierarchy and a strong emphasis on individualism, in contrast to what they viewed as the collectivist ways of the Jedi. At first, Xendor's teachings were a mix of a wide variety of Force traditions, but they gradually became dominated by the study of the Bogan, the dark side of the Force. Xendor and his followers became enthralled by the darkness, as the Jedi Council had feared, so the Jedi began gathering on Ossus, fearing Xendor would become a threat to the Republic. In turn, Xendor and his followers began to militarize, naming themselves the Legions of Leto. As the Jedi began openly building an army in Ossus, Xendor, now the general of the Legions of Leto, believed a war was inevitable. Hoping to end it before it began, he struck first, launching an attack on Ossus that the Order easily repelled. The Jedi beat the Legions of Leto back to the Polemian in short order, bringing the war to the core worlds, the heart of the fledgling Republic. This war became known as the First Great Schism. Battles were fought between the Jedi and the legions of Brental IV, Trandrila, Koralag, Metalos, and even Coruscant itself. The outcome of these battles is unknown, but it can be assumed the Jedi won all or most of them. And though both the Jedi and the legions claimed that they were trying to defend the Republic generally stayed out of it. In short order, the Jedi Knights pushed the legions of the Polemian down the Corellian Run, cornering Xendor on Colomus, a world that was close to Leto. On Colomus, Xendor and some of his best legionnaires, including the likes of Sethel Asiage and Tun Behoy, stood against the armies of Adrista Pina, nicknamed the Green Blade, the leader of the Jedi armies and a legendary warrior. Xendor and the legions fought well, but the Jedi had a crucial advantage, one that allowed them to win the prior battles of the Schism. Battle meditation. That rare Jedi technique allowed generals like Pina to coordinate entire armies through the Force, and in the First Great Schism, his forces surrendered themselves entirely to his direction, creating a sort of battle meld that allowed the armies of the Jedi to fight as a singular unit. Xendor and his followers were disgusted by this, viewing it as insectile and a surrendering of individuality, and refused to do the same. As a result, they were slaughtered, and Xendor himself died at Pina's hands. The Jedi then launched an attack on Leto, in which Xendor's academy was destroyed, as were most of his followers. Only Arden Lin, his right hand, escaped, fleeing into the unknown, into which Adrista Pina pursued her. Neither were seen or heard from for the next 25,000 years, and with the destructions of the legions of Leto, the First Great Schism came to a close. The conflict was more or less forgotten in short order. Even though it was technically a full-scale war, it was quite small in scale, as both the Jedi Order and the legions of Leto were only a few thousand strong each, and the battles between them were small and quick. The Republic pretty much ignored the whole thing, while the Jedi willfully let it fade into legend. By the time of the Clone Wars, it was pretty much a myth. Only Xendor's name was remembered from the period, and even then, it was remembered only as profanity, an ignoble legacy for a guy who really wasn't all that bad. In the aftermath of the First Great Schism, the Republic kept expanding and the Jedi kept protecting it, righting small-scale wrongs and generally ensuring safety and stability. However, only a few hundred years later, the Jedi would be called into action en masse once more, as the Republic faced its first real threat, the Tiernese. But that's a story for another day, namely the day when we put out the next video on the history of the Republic. So, what do you think of the First Great Schism?
That was actually a really great episode. I really like this one. Because, to be honest, before we went into this video, my theories and guesses was that the Republic, since the Republic was expanding so much. Wait, just a second, let me move my mic a little bit. the Republic was expanding so much, I thought maybe they activated the hyperdrive and accidentally like landed on Tython or something like that, and that's where they encountered the Jedi. But the fact that they did not encounter them on Tython, they encountered them on Ossus. I hope I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize, guys. And the fact that the Jedi did not start with lightsabers; they started off with swords, and you could even see the blades were like colored as well with the like blue and green. And they were still able to like wield them, because that was really cool. That would actually be really cool to see. Instead of like lightsabers, we would actually see like Jedi and Sith wielding blades instead of lightsabers. That would be actually like a nice change of pace and something cool to see. In my opinion, I wish that they made movies in this time period rather than episodes 7 through 9. In my opinion, I wish they like. We went back in time and took all the budget out of episodes 7 through 9 and just made something from the Old Republic. I mean, because in my opinion, this is like great material. I mean, sure, it's already like made, and maybe someone's gonna be like, oh man, we already know this, but still, it's great for like people who are learning it like me. And Tython was like a really hostile territory, and I guess that's how they met the Republic. But when it said the brutal story, I thought the Republic was going to coerce the Jedi into joining them, but I guess they didn't. Instead, there was like a splinter group inside the Jedi Order that led to like the infighting. But besides that, it wasn't really that brutal in my opinion. But again, like I said, the Jedi armor and outfit in this time era is so much better than this time period. I mean, if the Clone Wars Jedi, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Mace Windu, if those guys were wearing that armor, I swear not a single blaster bolt would have like caught them. Either way, this was a really great video. Again, shout out to Geetsley for like creating this video. And hey, if you're watching this, amazing work, man. Keep it up. And besides that, I don't know what else to say. I'm really looking forward to the next video. So again, guys, thank you guys for watching. Keep an eye out for more content. For right now, I'm currently doing Halo lore and theory videos and Halo videos. I still have Halo Infinity left, but that's pretty much gonna be the last one. And besides the Halo lore and theory videos, I mean, just like video game wise. And also check out my other videos on my channel. And again, thank you guys so much for your continued support. Many of you guys have been like reaching out and saying like, hey, I love your work, great fans, because some of the fans you guys mentioned, I have a few in like France, Algeria, Brazil, Egypt, and I think one of you guys said that a few guys said that you were from the UK, UK. So, but I mean, it was really cool to see like not just like American fans. I'm starting to have like international and global fans. I mean, that is really amazing. So again, thank you guys so much. It is your support that's what's making this channel happen. And I hope you guys are having an amazing day or night wherever you guys are, and I'll see you guys next time.